Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of JT Talks Jobs. So, for those of you that have never been here, this is the show that teaches you everything that school didn't about job search and career growth. So, welcome back to all our regulars and welcome, of course, to all our first time listeners. Hopefully, you will come back time and again. Today, I'm going to be talking about LinkedIn and specifically aspects of your profile on LinkedIn that you really want to pay attention to in a crisis, particularly if you are in active job search mode. So we're going to talk about those mistakes that we're seeing people make that you really want to be mindful of on the platform, and I'll give you a lot of backstory why. But before I do, I always like to do a little housekeeping. First of all, this is your opportunity to learn and grow. The company is named Work It Daily for a reason. So promise me you will put things aside, turn your phone off, close down everything on your computer, and just listen today. That way you can make the best use of your time. Second, I will be answering questions. I always do a general Q&A after this. So we'll go through these materials for about 15 or 20 minutes, and then we'll spend the rest of the time answering your questions. So get ready for that. You will see that in order to ask questions, you have to follow a certain rule, which is put the word question in all caps and then ask your question. And I have incredible teammates who are pulling the questions from the chat and putting them in a document for me so that I can read them. Know that we can't answer every question. We do the best that we can. But if we don't answer your question, that's okay, because you can always come over and join us at Work It Daily and work with myself and the team of career coaches there who will answer every single one of your questions. Which, speaking of, I want to just announce, if you don't know this already, every month at Work It Daily, we do a live training for our members. And this month, starting August 11th, next Tuesday, is a very important one. It is how to deal with depression and anxiety during job search. So we have a lot of people right now that are going into an extended time period of job search. It creates depression, it creates anxiety, it creates stress, and we're not always equipped to cope with this. So the team at Work It Daily has worked very hard to put together an in-depth and very positive and uplifting 3-week live training where you will work privately with all the other community members on coping skills for developing your resilience and your grit for job search so that you really can feel less stressed. Because we know for a fact that when you aren't in the right frame of mind for job search, you don't look for work as well as you can. So you need to be able to remove that negativity, that stress, that depression. You need to be in a good headspace. And that's what this training is all about. So the team is posting the link. All you have to do is join Work It Daily. If you are an active member of our program, not only do you get access to our coaches and our community and all of our classes that we have on demand, which is lots, but you also get the live training. So please check it out. We would love to have you be a part of this very important live training that will start next week. And again, for more information, click the link, okay? All right, well then we are gonna get started today. We are gonna be talking about 3 LinkedIn mistakes you don't wanna be making on your profile right now, especially during a crisis. So the first thing that I want to make sure everyone understands is that a crisis actually creates a hidden job market. And if you haven't been on any of my events recently and don't understand what the term hidden job market means, let me give you a little backstory on that. So when you have massive amounts of unemployment, which historically this is the most we've ever seen, I think, in the entire history of the country, and it's sort of long term, right? This wasn't, people were hoping this would be sort of a V depression, but it's not. We know this is going to go on for a long time. Companies shift gears. They don't post jobs anymore. Now, that doesn't mean they're not hiring. It just means that they're not publicly posting jobs on sites like LinkedIn and Glassdoor and Indeed and some of these other sites. When there's low unemployment and companies are having a hard time finding them, they have to increase their marketing. So they actually post the jobs on all sorts of different platforms, just hoping that maybe you will find them. But now they can't do that. They physically can't do that. So what they do is they're still hiring, but they essentially hide the jobs or make them more difficult to find. So they only post them on their company website. That way, only people that have been following the company and are really passionate about working for the company will actively go find them there. And even then, sometimes they won't post the jobs at all. And the recruiters will actually proactively go out and find candidates. Now, why is that? Let's talk about why they might do that. Because just because there's no job postings doesn't mean they can't keep hiring. In fact, and people are shocked to hear this, but I promise you, we have watched this, we call it the second job apocalypse, hit in the last couple of weeks. And that is now that in the US, the PPP has run out, companies realize that this is the new normal, that their business isn't going to come back and that their business has to shift. So most companies, literally, most companies are doing some form of restructuring. And I put quotes around it, restructuring. People call them layoffs, but it's not always just a layoff. Restructuring means we're going to look at the company and decide whose jobs are still relevant, which departments are still relevant, and we keep those. We get rid of everything that isn't relevant in order to free up cash to stay profitable, pay off debt, and fund new types of people that we need, new types of things that we need to compete in this marketplace. It's very, very common that companies do restructuring right now. And we're seeing a lot of restructuring. They couldn't restructure during PPP because they were given loans to keep people employed. But now that that's over, they've figured out their restructuring and they're laying people off in order to hire. Now, they won't hire as many people, but they will hire people. So all these companies that are laying off, don't think that they're not going to hire for months and months. Some of them are already hiring, if you can believe that. Go check out their careers pages on their own company sites. They have job openings. Companies have job openings. Hiring is going on right now, but you're just not seeing it at such massive scale as you do in a low unemployment time. Okay. So you need to understand that right now. Anybody out there going, well, there's no point in looking for work, nobody's hiring. That is not true. That is absolutely not true. Here's what you need to know, though, about LinkedIn, and this is why this session became so important today. Recruiters use LinkedIn to proactively search for the right candidates so that they don't have to reactively deal with thousands of the wrong candidates. So what do I mean by that? Well, if I'm posting my job postings on all these boards, you know what happens? Everybody applies to my jobs, even if they're not a fit. So in a time, in a low unemployment, I might get 100 applicants. In a time like this, companies can get thousands of applications if they post them on sites like Indeed and all those other places instantly, overnight, and they can't handle it. They can't handle going through them all and looking at them and rejecting people and trying to deal with messaging people, so they don't do it. They hide the jobs, and instead, a hiring manager says, this is what I'm looking for in a candidate. A recruiter gets on LinkedIn and uses LinkedIn's recruiter tool to identify a group of people, a group of profiles that come up in a list, a short list. They go through those profiles and then they choose just a few people to reach out to and say, hey, are you looking for work? Can we have a conversation? That's how it works right now, okay? So the best way for me to give you an analogy around this is LinkedIn is the yellow pages. And your profile is your listing in the yellow pages for your business of one. So this is why you have to pay close attention to what you're putting on your LinkedIn profile in order for it to be found in the, professional yellow pages, aka LinkedIn. Very, very important we do this. And what's interesting is there's now well over 700 million people on LinkedIn, 700 million. So LinkedIn has to work a lot like an internet search. And it has to create ways to sort 700 million profiles to determine which 20, 30, 40, 50 are most relevant to what the recruiter is searching for. So hopefully you see where I'm going with this. What you choose to put on your LinkedIn profile, and specifically where you choose to put it, will impact what kind of searches you show up for in LinkedIn, which means this is how you can get yourself to get on recruiters' radar screens. This is how you can get recruiters to contact you, or as we say, make recruiters come to you. So even in a pandemic, even in a crisis, if you properly optimize your profile, you will increase the chances that those companies that are hiring for the hidden job market will find you. Hopefully that makes sense to everyone, because it's a very, very important concept. All right. Now, the other thing you need to know about this is that recruiters use the platform to skim profiles of candidates that match the criteria. So even with that algorithm, they put in their keywords, they get 50 profiles that match. They're going to click on each one and do the skim test. They're going to look at it very, very quickly and decide whether or not they want to spend more time on this particular candidate, researching them and giving them a call. So today we're going to talk about things that you could be doing wrong on your profile that are hurting you. One, not only in getting found, but two, as that recruiter is doing that skim test, are you making the cut? That's what we're going to work on. And here's what I want you to keep in mind about that. Your profile needs to be A, factual. So you got to have numbers in there. You got to really be able to validate. B, easy to read. You can't have it be overwhelming. And we'll see more about that. And C, only give them enough information to make me want to reach out to you to get more. You need me to take action. So if I'm a recruiter, if there's not enough information on your profile, I'm not going to bother. because it means you haven't invested time and you're not that interesting. If you've given me too much information, you're visually overwhelming me. You're sending the wrong message. You're making my job harder. So I'm not excited about your profile. But if you give me the just right amount, I feel like I'm talking about the three little bears, right? If you give me just right, then I'm going to go, well, this person looks like they have all the things that I'm looking for, but I need more information. So I need to reach out to them. This is how you make recruiters come to you. And this is basic marketing, folks. Anybody that's in marketing knows that there's a fine balance that you have to create. Your marketing message has to resonate and has to work for the audience in order for them to take action and engage with it. So that's what we're focusing on today. Okay. All right. So I hope that backstory really helps you understand the power of LinkedIn and gets you excited about the fact that there are things you can actually do on your profile to improve the chances that people are finding you and then contacting you. So let's get into it. 3 mistakes. We're talking about mistake number 1 here, useless words in your headline. So what am I talking about? Well, in your headline, and what I can probably do here is I'm going to bring up, I think, my own profile. So bear with me here a second, because I want you to see I practice what I preach on my very own profile. So let's see if we can have you take a look at that. Bear with me. Let's bring up my profile. Chrome tab, and here we go. Okay. So the first thing that you see is the headline. Do you see this headline right after my name? And you'll notice that I've been very careful in the words that I've chosen, and I've put vertical line dividers between each one. So in my case, most of the time I suggest that you don't put your job title in. So wherever you work right now and your job title, the majority of you would not do that, even though I've done it. And let me tell you why. Because recruiters aren't getting on here and saying, oh, I want to find the director of marketing at XYZ Corp. No, that's not what they're looking for. If they're looking for somebody, they're looking for digital marketing, in Tacoma, Washington, with email marketing, right? They look for skill sets because that's how the algorithm will break it down. Now, your headline is prime real estate. The way LinkedIn works is it says, gee, if you have the key skill set that recruiter is searching on in your headline, you must really be passionate about that skill set. So we're going to rank you higher than someone who doesn't have that word that they need in their headline. So when you put random words like innovating self-starter looking to shift your marketing efforts, there's probably one word in there, marketing, that would even match what a recruiter was looking for. That's what I mean about wasted words. So for most of you, putting your company name in, wasted. Putting your job title in, wasted. The key skill sets are more important. Now for me, because I do so much work online as an influencer and I do so much free content and free things like this, people associate me with Work It Daily. So I want them to find me if they're looking up Work It Daily. And they'll associate me being the CEO of the company, right? So I've left those on there for people to search and find me. But if I wasn't doing that sort of thing, I would get rid of that entirely and I'd use the real estate for other stuff. Now, you'll see that I listed career coach, right? Outplacement, job search specialist, employer branding, and human resources. These are areas that if somebody was looking for a consultant or a subject matter expert on, they would put those in. And because I have them in my headline, if I meet several other of their criteria, I've got a better shot of showing up in their search results. And the beautiful part about that is when you see the search results, it comes up with your profile pic and then your headline. And that's it. They get 50 of those. So how nice is it when they've asked for, say, digital marketing, and they see your headshot and digital marketing is one of your key skill sets because that's very easy to read. That's how you make your search show up, but also you make the way that that's designed with the vertical line dividers is going to present better in the search results and increase the chances they want to check you out. Okay. Now, one quick thing I want to mention here, and this has been very controversial. I've had a lot of people get super angry with me on LinkedIn, but I'm going to stick by it. What I don't want you ever to do is put the words actively seeking opportunities in your headline. There isn't a single recruiter I know that searches on those keywords. Not a single one. So you're wasting keyword space. But more importantly, you're also tipping them off that you're between jobs right now. And granted, millions of people are between jobs. But unfortunately, some recruiters are flat out told by hiring managers they can't hire people that are out of work. And so if you say actively seeking opportunities, they're not even going to look at your profile. So what you want to do is have those key skill sets in there and get them to start to skim your profile and get excited about you. So when they figure out you don't have a current job, they're going, but this person hasn't been out of work that long and they really have all the relevant experience. So I'm still going to give them a call. That's how you get the phone call if you're between jobs right now. But if you've got actively seeking opportunities in the top, you're reducing the amount of search results you show up in, and you're reducing the number of recruiters that actually click on you. Okay? So very important, keyword-driven headline. Very, very important right now. All right, so we're going to go back now to my slide deck, and we're going to talk about that next piece. So hang on here. I am my own producer today. Pretty proud of myself. All right, second big mistake I see people making right now. Long-winded, self-important paragraphs in the about section that don't prove anything. So this is what I'm talking about. It makes me cringe, and I can tell you because it makes recruiters cringe when they see an epic novel in the about section where, and especially if it's written in the third person. Jim Jones is an innovative self-starter with 15 years of operational experience. He has been spanning the globe, making companies better day by day. He enjoys blah, 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 blah. It just nails on a chalkboard, useless, self-promotional, right? And on top of that, when you put too much text in the about section and not enough fact, not only does it look narcissistic, but recruiters can look past that narcissism and go, okay, this is actually a person that's trying too hard, so they're desperate. Neither of those are messages that you want to be sending. And yet when you do that in the about section, you're creating such a visually overwhelming experience. Remember what I said? Recruiters skim and then they decide if they want to read. Well, if you've got big, long, boring paragraphs all about how great you are, they're not going to read it. They're going to skip right over it. About sections should be simple and they should have a lot of white space. So again, I'm going to show you what I mean by that, all right? Because I practice what I preach on my very own profile. So we're going to look at what I've done in the about section of my profile. Okay, let's bring this down here. All right, very good. So let's bring this so you can all see it. So what you will see, first of all, is that I did one sentence that says, if you want to learn more about job search and career coaching, here's where to go, right? Again, people are often coming, I need to have on my profile what I know when people search for me are actually looking for, which is usually, how the heck do I get a hold of her? So we put the website right there and we show them about the career coaching. Because that's usually what people are saying if they're direct messaging me, JT, I want to work with you. I want to work with your team. How does that work? So I put that front and center. You probably wouldn't do that. But then you'll see that I get very specific about my background. And it's just a couple of sentences. It says, former HR and recruiting industry executive with 18 years plus experience in the development and delivery of professional and executive level career coaching and outplacement services. So there's my facts. I got 18 years of experience in this area. I have managed teams with 5 to over 50 employees, with budgets ranging between $1 million to over $35 million a year. So that information, those 3 sentences, how many years I've been doing my thing, size of the teams that I've led, and size of the departments or businesses that I've managed, is all you need to know to understand the depth of my experience. Notice I'm not overselling myself. I'm not using all this flowery text about how great I am, just fact, just enough for you to go, really? Okay. So where did she get that information? Where did she gain that experience? I'm going to have to go scroll down and read her work history to find that out. See how that works? And then what I did is I list my specialties. So these are all my key skill set areas. Now, notice something. These are all the kinds of things a recruiter would search on. These are the keywords, the hard skills, the transferable skills. Notice I don't have things like, supportive and, time management and things like that. I can't put soft skills in here. I have to put hard skills in here. So outplacement services, executive and management coaching, career advice, job search strategy, career assessment and planning, interview preparation, salary negotiation, right? So these are the things that I know that people would search on. And also, it's how I very quickly brand myself for my area of expertise. It's a proven fact that it is much easier to read a list, a nice vertical list, because your brain works like a check mark. Oh, check, 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 check. It goes down very quickly. If I was to put this in a long-winded paragraph, people wouldn't remember a darn thing because they wouldn't read the paragraph. This has created what we call the white space effect. In my about section, by creating empty areas of white space, the eye is drawn into what's written here. And this is how I get people to read it and go, okay, so she's got some experience. Let me go learn more about her. Very, very important that you use this technique, folks. Makes a huge, huge difference. When you write those epic novels about how great you are and there's no numbers in there and there's nothing but, long verbose text, it doesn't get read and it sends the wrong message. All right, we're going to go back now and we're going to look at number 3. So our third and final most common mistake that I am seeing these days that people need to stop the insanity is very similar to number 2, and that is long paragraph text in the work history that doesn't offer me any quantifiable accomplishments. So people often make the mistake in LinkedIn to write, well, here's what the company does. Here's the products it sells and the services it provides and who it supports. They don't care about that. All they have to do is roll their mouse over the icon of the company and it gives them the company page. They can go figure that out for themselves. That's a waste. And then I see people write these big long paragraphs saying, it's my job to work with lots of different people in lots of different departments, and we create really innovative strategies that save the company money. That told me nothing. Absolutely nothing. What I want to see instead is a single bullet point that says, worked with 52 vendors, negotiating contracts worth $20 million. Managed a 300-person phone line system, fielding, 250 calls a day, period. I'm just making things up, but you see my point. I'm keeping it very simple and numbers driven. Numbers are the most memorable thing on resumes and LinkedIn profiles. Numbers are the easiest thing for the human eye to process and understand. So when you can quantify what you accomplished at a company, not how you did it, but what the results were, now you're proving to me that you understand your value. Because here's the thing, companies hire you because they know that you will save or make them enough money to justify the cost of your salary. So when you can tell me in numbers how you do that, I know that you understand your actual role to the organization and that you're going to be a better fit for the job. So it's very important you do that. And again, I'm going to show you a quick example so that you can see that I practice what I preach here. I'm going to go back there and I will share this. All right. I'm going to scroll down. So let's take a look. See how it's simple? Look at these. So work it daily. I have 2 bullet points here. Hopefully you all can see that. Can you all see that? Probably not, but let me read them to you. First bullet point says, private B2C SaaS career coaching platform with over 3,000 monthly premium subscribers. Free website, has over 1.5 million page views per month, 3.5 million social media followers, and 125,000 email subscribers. So in 2 sentences, I am telling you the size and the depth of this company. And recruiters know what kind of work had to be put in to make that happen, right? So you have to have numbers in here. Notice I space it out too. Notice I put spaces between them to make it easier to read. Less is more. I'm giving you just enough information here so that you're going, gee, okay, so she's accomplished some things. I think I want to know how she did that. So let me give her a call or let me email her so I can learn more. See what I mean? Don't tell them how you did it. Just tell them what you did. Make them have to pick up the phone and call you to find out how you did it. There's the distinction right there. And again, it's about a fine balance. Too little information, they're not going to pay attention. Too much information, you're sending the wrong message, and it's likely that they're not going to bother. When you put everything you have ever done on your LinkedIn profile and your resume for that matter, but on your LinkedIn profile for today, when you put all this stuff on there, you are making it infinitely more easier. Boy, I can't speak today. You're making it infinitely easier for a recruiter to look and go, oh, okay, no, they don't have what I need. Or, oh, I don't need somebody with all this experience. More is not better. It's the opposite effect. So hopefully that is really sinking into everybody today. Okay. More is not better when it comes to your LinkedIn profile. All right. So I hope that made sense to everyone. Those are the three most common things that I'm seeing people make mistakes on with respect to their LinkedIn profiles right now. Here's what I want you to remember. Don't wait around hoping recruiters are going to find you. LinkedIn is the yellow pages. Your profile is your business listing. The platform is there. If you use it consistently, you will bring awareness to your profile. LinkedIn rewards people who are active users of LinkedIn. So when you update your profile, when you post content in your feed, when you share and comment on other people's content, it sees you as more of a power user, and it's going to reward that profile activity. This is how you can show up in more search results. First, by following the 3 tips I gave you today and avoiding those mistakes. And second, by being a really good user of the platform. When you participate, you will see better results. All right. So we're going to move into the Q&A section of today. Again, before I get started and the team starts queuing up the questions, I want to remind you, this month, starting next week, our live training for all Work It Daily members is specifically on how to deal with depression and anxiety in job search. It starts August 11th. That's Tuesday. You can attend the live sessions inside our private platform. We have our own phone app and our own online platform. You can attend. If you can't attend live, we record the session so that you can watch the recordings and participate in the community aspect of it throughout the week, okay? But I'm telling you, folks, if you are lonely, depressed, stressed out about your job search, give yourself the gift of coming and joining us for even 1 month, right? You can join us on a monthly basis, cancel at any time. Just come and do this training. Invest in yourself. Give yourself the support that you need, right? Because you really do need it. Not just, 1 hour a week. You need to be able to go in whenever you're feeling down, blue, scared, confused. You need a place to go, and you need to be counseled by the right people and supported by the right people. And a lot of times that's not our family and friends. A lot of times they're really not in the right frame of mind themselves to be giving us good advice. And that's why you want to join and be a part of something like this. It's going to be so hugely powerful. It's going to change a lot of lives. Okay. All right. So I'm glad that you're going to be joining us with that. And now I'm going to go ahead and going to take some questions. So let's see what we've got here. Starting off with Susan. Susan says, I have recruiters looking at my profile. Good for you, Susan. However, they are wrong for my channel of business. How can I change that? That's a really great question. So Susan, I would look at the similarities in these recruiters. What do they all have in common? What industry are they coming from, or what type of job do they actively recruit for? And then ask yourself, why would I show up in their results? What about it in my profile is triggering that result? And usually you can see a correlation, whether it's past industry experience or earlier job experience, that sort of thing. Also, sometimes recruiters are told, hey, when it's hard to find talent, you want to look in different types of industries for different types of jobs. So sometimes they do that as well because they're looking to bring you into a new job or a new industry. But you want to do some super sleuthing there to figure that out. And then you can change the things in your headline and your about section in your work history to better optimize yourself so that you will get found by the right people. All right, Mert on LinkedIn is asking, what do you think about the new say your name 10-second voice feature of profiles? It's interesting. I think that we're becoming very visual and very, there's a lot of auditory. We're getting very comfortable being on camera. Thanks to platforms like TikTok, people are getting more comfortable in their own skin on talking. So those things aren't bad. My advice is this. If you can't do it well, don't do it. Just because a feature is available doesn't mean you should do it. If you're not good, if you don't feel like your voice sounds good, you don't do it. You can skip it. Nobody says you have to just because it's there. So as these features reveal themselves, you want to be careful and make sure, is this really right for me? I'll give you another one. We get asked every single week, should I use the open to work green circle that LinkedIn has just started, the hashtag? It's a wonderful idea in theory. I have no evidence to prove that it's a good idea in practice. And again, the reason for that is that it's telling recruiters that you are between jobs right now. And there are some recruiters that might automatically skip over you and not even give your profile a good once over, and could miss out on a really talented person who has all the right skill sets because they have a bias against the open to work screen. So we don't know if that 100% works or not yet, and that's why I can't endorse it. So be careful with your features. Choose wisely. All right, Nicole over on YouTube is asking, right now to make your profile public, it adds the open to work ring around your picture. How do we circumvent that? Nicole, I don't have it on mine, and my profile is public. So there's got to be a particular feature where you turn that on and off. I think if you just, go to the internet and search how to turn off the open to work ring, it will show you how, because you are not required to have that on there. You can turn it off. I don't have one on mine. So there is a way for you to shut that off. I guarantee it. Kimberly on LinkedIn says, does listing years of experience on LinkedIn potentially set a candidate up for ageism bias? So, Kimberly, you're required to put the dates in terms of the years that you worked at a certain job on LinkedIn. So it's not hard for a recruiter to actually total up how many years of experience you have. Also, their search algorithm lets them say, do you want people with 0 to 2 years, 3 to 5 years, 6 to 10 years, 10, up to 15 years, over 20 years, and they can check multiple boxes. So there is that feature. They don't all use it though. They'll check like multiple levels and say, I want everybody from say 0 to 10 years experience, which says to them they want like a mid-level person. Whereas if you have more than 10 years of experience, they want a senior person. So they're going to do that with the search algorithm no matter what. That's why it's more important that you focus on the keywords so that you show up because you match the keywords. Okay, David on YouTube says, does the headline list the same hard skills that are in the list of the About section? It does, David. Yeah, repeat them. You want to repeat them. The headline is there to get the attention so that they'll click through and look at the profile, but you actually want to reinforce those in that vertical skill list, plus all the other skills that you want to list as well. Good question. Bobby over on YouTube says, what do you do if a company is no longer in business, therefore link to the company is gray and website not available? So you can actually, in a bullet point or after the name of the company, say that the company is no longer in business. So when you go and find that company and you select it, you put the company name in and then parentheses afterwards, you can edit and say no longer in business. And that way they'll know and understand that. Yep, that happens all the time. Deborah on LinkedIn says, how does LinkedIn reward you? I still don't understand that part. What's the benefit of that? So here's the thing. If I have over 700 million profiles on LinkedIn, we know through studies that less than half of the users of LinkedIn are active users, meaning they get on every day, they participate, they share things every day. Well, LinkedIn knows how active you are, right? If you're not active at all, so for example, if you haven't been in there in months, then you're probably getting an email from them triggered saying, haven't seen you in a while, come back and try this or check this out, right? All these companies know when you log on and how often you log on. LinkedIn's no exception. So people who log on every day, share content, comment, it shows that activity level. And so LinkedIn's algorithm says, look, if somebody's looking for someone, I want to make sure the chances are that whoever they contact will contact them back. So why the heck am I going to put at the top of a search people that haven't been on the site and haven't done anything on the site for months? The likelihood that they're going to respond is very low. The likelihood of somebody who gets in there every day and posts content every day responding is very high. So it's going to put you in more search results. Does that make sense? That's how they reward you. Yeah. Amy asks on YouTube, why are hiring managers refusing to see unemployed people in general and especially now? So it's not all hiring managers, Amy. It's definitely not all. But there are some hiring managers who over the years have found that if somebody is unemployed, it's usually because they aren't as skilled as somebody who is employed. And that is a very harsh thing, but it is a reality. It's not everyone, but it is a reality. So in times, for example, of very low unemployment, right before this pandemic hit, we had the lowest unemployment in the history of the US. If somebody was unemployed, especially for several months, when so many companies were looking for work, you got to ask yourself, what are they doing wrong? And that's how hiring managers think. So there's always, always, always been discrimination and criticism against unemployed people. It is a harsh reality. There are a lot of studies to back it up. Now, in times like these, where so many people are unemployed, you would like to think that they would drop their guard on that. But you know what they're really thinking? Some of them, not all of them. I know recruiters who are amazing. I know recruiters right now who are actively only pursuing people who lost their jobs because they want to get them back to work. Those are the most amazing recruiters ever. There are other recruiters who would say, I still only want to hire somebody that's currently employed because it tells me, boy, they must be really in demand if they didn't get laid off in the pandemic. See the thought process? So there's different thoughts, and that's how that gets impacted. Anna on LinkedIn says, JT, your profile is for someone of 20 years experience. What about those who are at the beginning of their career? Do bullet points still apply? They do, Anna. You just won't have as many of them, but you're still going to be able to tell me how many hours you worked on something, how many people were involved. There's always a way. In fact, I tell people, take your bullet points and circle every noun in your bullet point. And then ask yourself, it's a noun. It's a person, place, or thing. How many? Can I add a number to it? Right? Look at every action. So you could look at every verb and say, what was the action? Can I quantify that action? Did it grow 20%? Did it cut it in half? Like, what can I evaluate that? Once you train yourself to look through the lens of adding numbers, you will get good at it. Trust me. And I'll tell you, if you join Work It Daily, it's one of the things that our Work It Daily coaches are really exceptional about pointing out. So let's see. Mellison, that's such a pretty name. Mellison, YouTube. What if you don't have numbers and you can't quantify experience? I've yet to meet a person that I can't quantify, Mellison. I've yet. I can quantify anybody, and so can my coaches. You're just not looking at it through the right lens because you've not been taught to do it. But I promise you, it's not rocket science. It's not brain surgery. It just takes a little work. Yeah. I always tell this story. I had a receptionist come to me. She goes, how am I supposed to explain what I do? I said, well, how many phone lines do you have? It's a 12 phone line system. How many employees in the company? 300. How many calls do you think you take a day? Oh, over 150. Okay. So as a receptionist, you man a 12 line phone system for a 300 person company and field over 150 calls a day. See, you can quantify anything. You really can. Natalia on LinkedIn says, what should I look from the profile of a recruiter who is looking at my profile? Oh, yeah. So if a recruiter looks at your profile, folks, you want to go over and look at the recruiter and figure out, one, how long have they been recruiting? Is it a legitimate company? Two, do they have a specialty? So does that recruiter have some sort of specialty that's a certain type of recruiting? You then want to go to the company page so you can click on the icon next to their job title. And you want to see if the company has any jobs posted on LinkedIn, and also go over to their company website and see if the company has any jobs postings there to try to get a sense if you can figure out what that recruiter might have been recruiting for. And then based on that, you can always reach out to that recruiter and send them a custom connection request and say, hey, your profile came up when I was researching your company. I'd love to connect. And when they do connect, you can say, I see that you have XYZ position available. I would love to learn more about what you think it would take to earn an interview with you for this role, right? Because they're the expert. They're the qualifiers. So you want to ask them what it would take to earn an interview for that. But you got to do your homework, right? You don't have to say to them, I saw that you checked out my profile. But you can do all of those steps I just mentioned in order to start a conversation with that recruiter. Jacob on LinkedIn says, any recommendations to validate that you're communicating with a genuine recruiter and not someone trying to detain your profile and sell that information? Yeah. So I actually did a whole piece on this. It's very important that you validate that they are a real person. So you want to look at their background and their work history. You want to see how many people they're connected with. You want to make sure that the company is a legit company that has employees. If they message you, you want to make sure it's coming from a viable email that's not some sort of random Gmail. And again, you never want to give out too much personal information. Anybody asking for stuff that, social security numbers, dates of birth, things like that, that's off limits. Yeah. All right. Janice on YouTube says, should I list my current job and company in my profile if it's not in the industry I'm job hunting in? I left the tech industry to establish an investing company, and now I would like to return. Well, as we've talked about earlier, Janice, it is important that you show that you're currently working. So I would say that you're going to have to put this company in here. That way you show the current work. What I would do is try to scrub out and simplify the bullet points and focus on the skill sets and the accomplishments that speak to the kinds of skills that you would use in the tech area. Okay. The other thing I would do is that your first bullet point might be an explanation of why you are leaving the investing company and want to go back to tech. That would be okay to put in there. After, a 5-year successful run in investing, I realized that I want to return to the tech world and be able to make a bigger impact, something like that, right? Because if you don't explain, they're going to wonder why. So you could do that in a very simple bullet point, but not long, not verbose. You want to keep it very simple. And then you're going to want to do a lot of proactive networking in order to talk to recruiters and be able to explain the transition. Yeah. Okay, Craig on YouTube says, a recruiter sent my resume to companies I didn't request, and now I want to apply directly. Is that an issue? The recruiter didn't even check in. Oh, wow. That's so illegal, by the way, Craig, which I think you know. So, folks, what Craig's referring to is when you work with a staffing agency, if they submit your resume to an employer, if that employer decides to hire you, they are under contract to give that staffing company a cut. So this recruiter was very sneaky and illegal and just without Craig's consent, sent it to a bunch of companies. That way, if Craig gets hired, they can go, oh, we introduced you. We gave them his resume, which is not true. So Craig, first of all, I would make sure that you send an email off so that there's email chain proof to the staffing company and say, I expressly did not give you permission to submit me to these companies. In my opinion, you are not representing me at these companies and you had no right to do that. So I would make sure you do that in writing first. Then you can go ahead and start networking and applying to the companies directly. And I would make it a point if you do land an interview to say to them, I want to go on the record that, such and such staffing company tried to submit me to you because they were trying to game the system. I have emailed them. I have confirmation that I did not give my permission because I wanted to apply to you directly. And that's how you're able to go around it. Okay? Yeah, it's so annoying. But see, that's the kind of sneaky stuff that's happening right now because people are desperate. LinkedIn question, should we write a brief statement of current and past role and responsibilities and work history apart from quantifiable accomplishments? No. That's my point. I don't want you to tell me what your roles and responsibilities were. I want you to tell me what you got done. I want to be impressed by your numbers so that I want to call you up and understand what your roles and responsibilities were. So no, you don't explain that. That's what I mean about too much information. If they see something they don't like, they can skip over you. You just want to give them the facts. And trust me, this sounds counterintuitive. I get it, folks. I know there are other, LinkedIn experts that are going to go, no, you need to put your personality in there. You need to make yourself come to life. It doesn't work. It's not true. Of course, they want to make you feel good about yourself so that you pump yourself up. But you would never imagine if you had to walk up to a recruiter right now you've never met before, and the only thing you could say to them is what was on your LinkedIn profile right now. How foolish would you sound if you walked up to a stranger and said, "Hey there, I'm an innovative self-starter. I am an accomplished professional." You would never say that. But if you could walk up to them and low-key say, "Hey, I have 15 years in digital marketing. I've led teams ranging in the size of 10 to 50. And I've worked on over 57 projects with budgets of over $10 million. Okay, tell me more." See what I mean? It's not bragging. It's you sharing fact. There's a difference. And I'm telling you, folks, people don't understand this about LinkedIn and they get it wrong. And, recruiters giggle when people do this really over top stuff, because they get so snarky and say, oh, yeah, really? It says who? It says you. You're saying you're the greatest thing. Even worse, writing in the third person. You wrote your profile, but when your profile says, and Amanda Wilson is an accomplished professional, you're Amanda Wilson. So these are the things that people don't think through. Even these pros that are claiming all this personality, you might get lucky once and have a recruiter say, oh, that was a real fun profile. I'm glad I contacted you. But the majority of the time, they are just looking for the fact, and you want to get on the phone with them because it's much easier to convince them you're the right person when you get the phone screen. All right. So I need to wrap it up there, folks. Boy, 45 minutes always goes really fast. For those of you that didn't get your questions answered, remember, that is what we do. Work it daily. Less than you're spending on coffee. 1 monthly fee gives you full and total access to myself and the team of career coaches who are answering via private chat all of your questions. We have hours of tutorials and resources. We have the most amazing team members to rally you, community members, and we have an incredible live training that's included next week to help you fight depression and anxiety. Okay. So I always say this at the end. What are you waiting for? Every single day, somebody gets inside Work Daily and goes, I cannot believe I waited so long. They don't understand the power of the platform and what it can do for them to really feel in control and confident and supported. You deserve that right now. You spend money on all these other things. Why wouldn't you spend a little on yourself in order to get what you're looking for? Okay. All right. I hope you come join us. Thank you so much, everybody, for stopping by today. I really appreciate it. Another JT Talks Jobs is on the books. We'll be back next week. Hopefully, I'll see you inside Work It Daily. But until next time, remember this: if you want to win, you got to work it daily.